Hi everyone, this is Morgan, and in this video I'm going to walk you through Journal 4 for the Fruit and Color project, 6 paintings, 6 color schemes. The first part of this project is to choose which of your 3 compositions finished for Journal 2 that you're going to push forward. Keep in mind this will be what you work with for Journal 4, all 6 paintings in the final project, so it's important to pick the one that's going to be the most successful. So the questions to ask at this point are, does it create the illusion of space? Is there a clear foreground, middle ground, and background? And does it have elements that are too small or too complicated? It's really important to especially consider this one because if you sign yourself up for something that's unnecessarily complicated, you will be putting sometimes twice the amount of effort in compared to other designs. So the bottom line is it's great at this point of the process to consult me, your instructor. This can just be an email check-in. This can be a check-in during a course session, but it's really important that you share your compositions with me. We talk about it and I can advise you moving forward. Again, this is such an important part of the process because this is going to be the template for all 6 of your Journal 4 paintings, but it will also be the piece that you reflect to create your final project. So that will eventually be a 14 by 14 inch painting done on watercolor. What you're seeing here is actually a non-necessary step in the process. It's a pre-visualization you could do in Photoshop to see what your original composition looks like reflected 4 times. So since there are 4 different corners of the piece, you can have 4 possible center points for your reflection. So I'll walk you through, again, this optional step of pre-visualizing in Photoshop in a future video. But this is just a reminder that it's important to have a composition you really like at the beginning because it will be so crucial that you at least like it at the start. I also wanted to talk through our original plan pre-COVID-19 for how this process journal and project would go. Initially, the plan was you were going to scan your composition, print it 6 times on cardstock, and paint each with a different color scheme. 1 monochromatic using tints and shades, 1 monochromatic using tones, an analogous piece, a complementary piece, a split complementary piece, and one with a triadic color scheme. Here are actually examples of student work for this project: complementary, split complementary, and triadic versions of the same piece. To adapt to working from home, you will now make a single transfer onto watercolor paper, and that's partially important so you can practice how you're going to make your actual final project. And the remaining 5 quote-unquote paintings we're just going to complete in Photoshop. My hope is that this gives you the best of both worlds, where you can practice how you'll actually make your final, but also get a little more cozy with Photoshop. Before you even start working on your actual Journal 4, I would document all of your Journal 2 compositions. And that is partially because they could, or your composition that you're working on could understandably be slightly damaged during this process. You'll see that in this image, the camera phone is directly above the composition. The tracing paper is backed by some white paper, and there's an attempt to keep the camera as steady as possible. So this is a good idea just in terms of preserving it. It's also smart to start saving files of all of your process journal exercises and saving them into a shared folder so they'll be easy to turn in down the road, because we will be submitting files digitally via Canvas. That it would be even better to start your organization now. The next thing I'll talk through is doing the lead transfer onto watercolor paper. In the video here, you can see I'm just beginning by taping down my watercolor paper that I've cut using drafting tape to the table. I've cut it down to about 8 by 10 here, just so it's a nice size for my 7-inch by 7-inch composition. Once I've fully taped it down, and that's just so it's secure during tracing, you'll see that I place the image right side up. So that's the orientation I eventually want, but I'm going to draw onto the back of the tracing paper. And I'm doing that here honestly so that when I take it to the window, I can remember what the wrong side is. It's a little tougher when you get to that point. So I'll finish up here. I've got the mark on the wrong side of the paper. That's the side I'll continue to trace on when I take it over to the window here. And I've sped this video up quite a bit just so you can see the process. In a lot of ways, this is maybe the most tedious stage of the whole process. You're tracing over contours you've already traced. This is an opportunity to continue refining your composition in some ways. The most important thing here is, since you're doing this in pencil, you really want to keep sharpening your pencil. I probably over the course of tracing this had to resharpen my pencil 4 or 5 times just because you want a nice, strong, but also fine point just so you're accurately tracing over your contours. So I would definitely give your hand a break in between this stage of the process and the next one. Here you see I'm taping down my now lead-loaded tracing paper. Again, the wrong side is down. And I'm just trying to make it kind of a nice, tight hold so that the tracing paper doesn't move while I'm doing this process. The first thing I do here is I just retrace over again using a pencil. And on this side, the lead itself isn't important. What's really important is that you're putting pressure on this side of the paper so that the lead is imprinted onto your actual watercolor paper. So while you can use a pencil, other semi-blunt objects may work even better. So anything that's going to put pressure onto the side that's already loaded up with lead could work. So in this next video, you'll see I'm actually using a tablet pen. So that's probably not actually good for the pen, but it's just a blunt edge that makes it easy to apply pressure. You can also see I'm checking pretty routinely to make sure that the transfer is going through. So in this situation, I'm just tracing directly over my lines. I'm trying to make a nice, neat transfer. In this next video, you'll see that I'm a little bit rougher, especially this is a close-up, so it's a smaller area of my canvas. I'm just kind of, again, applying pressure to try to make that lead on the wrong side of my tracing imprint itself. So this is kind of the unboxing part of the video. You should end up with something that looks roughly like this. This is going to be a not very strong imprint, probably. It'll give you the rough outlines, but before you actually paint this piece, it would be a really good idea to maybe redraw with pencil over some of the less clear lines that didn't transfer so well. So in future videos, we'll discuss how to actually paint this watercolor piece and also how to do your quote-unquote paintings in Photoshop. Please shoot any questions my way, and good luck.